The movement of a United States aircraft carrier in the Middle East has drawn wider attention as regional tensions involving Iran continue to shake diplomatic and military calculations. Officials in Washington describe the deployment as part of routine maritime posture adjustments, while analysts across the region see it as a signal meant to reassure partners, protect commercial routes, and underline the United States' continued presence in strategically sensitive waters. According to U.S. defense officials, the carrier strike group has repositioned closer to areas where shipping lanes are considered critical for global energy supplies and international trade. These routes carry a significant share of the world's oil and gas exports, making stability in the region a matter of global economic concern. Any disruption, even temporary, can have ripple effects on fuel prices, insurance costs, and broader market confidence. Iran, for its part, has closely monitored the movement. Officials in Tehran regularly state that foreign military forces should not operate near Iran's coastline and emphasize what they describe as their right to defend national interests. Iranian media has framed the carrier's presence as an example of external pressure, while also stressing Iran's own naval capabilities and readiness to respond to developments in surrounding waters. U.S. officials reject the idea that the carrier's movement is an escalation. They emphasize that aircraft carriers routinely rotate through different regions as part of long-standing deployment schedules. In briefings, defense representatives say such moves are designed to maintain flexibility, support partners, and ensure rapid response options if regional stability is challenged. The carrier strike group typically includes the aircraft carrier itself, guided missile cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. Together, these assets provide air operations, maritime surveillance, and logistical support across a wide area. U.S. officials note that the presence of such a group allows coordination with allies and partners, many of whom rely on secure sea lanes for trade and energy imports. Regional governments have responded cautiously. Several Gulf states have reiterated calls for restraint and dialogue, stressing that rising tensions benefit no one. Diplomatic sources in the region say there is concern that miscalculation or misunderstanding could increase pressure on already fragile security arrangements. These governments often balance close security ties with the United States while maintaining communication channels with Iran. International shipping companies and energy firms are also paying close attention. Industry representatives say that while maritime traffic continues as normal, the situation is being monitored closely. Insurance providers often adjust risk assessments based on regional developments, which can affect costs for companies operating in nearby waters. From Washington's perspective, the carrier's movement fits into a broader strategy aimed at deterrence and reassurance. Officials argue that visible presence can reduce the likelihood of disruptive actions by demonstrating readiness and capability. At the same time, they emphasize that the United States remains open to diplomatic engagement on regional issues, including maritime security and escalation measures. Iranian officials, meanwhile, continue to link regional tensions to broader disagreements with the United States, including sanctions and nuclear-related issues. Iran has repeatedly called for the removal of sanctions, describing them as unjust and harmful to ordinary citizens. U.S. officials respond that sanctions are tied to policy concerns and that diplomatic pathways remain available if conditions are met. Military analysts note that aircraft carriers serve both practical and symbolic roles. Practically, they offer mobile air power without reliance on regional bases. Symbolically, they signal commitment and intent in regions where perceptions matter as much as capabilities. Such symbols can influence calculations by multiple actors. The timing of the carrier's movement has also attracted attention. It comes amid renewed diplomatic activity involving regional actors and international mediators seeking to reduce friction. While no direct link has been officially confirmed, observers say military posture and diplomacy often move in parallel, each influencing the other. U.S. allies in Europe have also commented on the importance of maritime stability in the Middle East. European officials emphasize that disruptions in the region affect global markets and energy security, particularly at a time when economies are sensitive to price fluctuations. They have called for all sides to avoid steps that could raise tensions further. Within the United States, lawmakers from both major parties have weighed in. Some emphasize the need to protect U.S. interests and allies, while others stress the importance of avoiding unnecessary escalation. Congressional oversight committees regularly receive briefings on military deployments and regional assessments. Public statements from the Pentagon underline that the carrier's mission includes cooperation with partner navies, joint exercises, and freedom of navigation operations consistent with international law. These activities, officials say, help maintain shared standards and reduce the risk of miscommunication at sea. Iranian naval forces have increased patrols in recent years, according to regional security observers. Tehran often presents these activities as defensive and focused on protecting national waters. U.S. officials acknowledge Iran's growing capabilities, but stress that international waterways must remain open and secure for all nations. The broader regional picture remains complex. Conflicts and political disputes in neighboring countries add layers of uncertainty. Maritime incidents, even minor ones, can quickly gain attention and fuel broader narratives. This makes communication channels and established protocols especially important. Diplomats familiar with regional talk say there is a shared understanding that open confrontation would be costly for all involved. Energy markets, trade routes, and regional economies would face immediate strain. As a result, many actors prioritize signaling and posturing over direct confrontation. The carrier's presence also affects regional military planning. Partner nations often coordinate training and information sharing when U.S. naval assets are nearby. This can enhance interoperability and preparedness. According to defense officials, critics, however, argue that a heavy military presence can also increase tension by reinforcing perceptions of external pressure. They call for greater emphasis on confidence-building measures, transparency, and regional dialogue mechanisms. U.S. officials counter that absence can be just as risky, leaving room for uncertainty or miscalculation. They maintain that presence combined with clear communication supports stability rather than undermines it. As the carrier continues its deployment, attention will likely remain focused on official statements from Washington and Tehran, as well as any changes in regional activity. So far, there have been no reports of disruptions to shipping or unusual incidents linked directly to the carrier's movement. Analysts say the situation highlights a familiar pattern in Middle Eastern security dynamics where military movements, diplomatic signals, and media narratives interact closely. Understanding these layers is key to assessing what such deployments mean in practice. For now, both sides appear to be managing their messaging carefully. U.S. officials stress routine operations and defensive intent, while Iranian officials emphasize vigilance and sovereignty. Regional partners continue to urge calm and dialogue. The coming weeks may provide more clarity on whether the carrier's movement remains a routine rotation or becomes part of a broader adjustment in regional posture. Much will depend on parallel diplomatic efforts, regional developments, and how all parties choose to communicate their intentions. In the meantime, the focus remains on maintaining stability in waters that are vital not only to the Middle East, but to the global economy. The presence of a U.S. aircraft carrier is one element in a larger picture that includes diplomacy, regional cooperation, and ongoing efforts to manage long-standing disagreements without allowing them to spiral into wider confrontation.